I'm going to start looking at some chart work, and I'm going to bring up a couple of astrology charts. I'm going to bring up my own chart, and I'm going to bring up the chart of today. And the reason I'm doing this is just to put it out there that astrology, a lot of people don't understand that it was used as an early form of psychology, like at the, hundreds of years ago. And also an example would be Nostradamus, that you may have heard his name in history. He was an astrologer, and he wrote a book in 1555 that it's never been out of print. So what I'm basically doing is just sharing knowledge, and I'm showing people how astrology is a tool to be able to heal our early wounds and to be able to objectify our lives so that we can begin to make our lives better, and look at where we struggle. And when we objectify, we get to evolve. And it's only through the symbolism, or not only through, but through the symbolism of a chart. I'm going to show you how my own chart showed my own life, and it swung me to, I couldn't help but study it after the experience I had. I have a few teachers, and there's a particular type of astrology that I follow. It's called Evolutionary Astrology. And I'll show you a couple of books that are really going to help you. And there are details below this video as well. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to see if I can share my chart now. Let's see. Go to my chart, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So hopefully what you're seeing on the screen now is a chart. Let's just see, because I've got a delay on this Zoom app that I use. So in a minute, you should be able to see a chart come up. Okay, so this is my astrology chart. And what we have is that, I don't know if we lost it again, actually. Let's see. Have I lost it? I don't know if I'm sharing the right thing. Hang on a minute. Share. I might have lost it. Excuse me. I'm showing you myself. What I'm going to do is stop share and start again. So once I get familiar with this, it's going to, let's see, share. Okay. Right. This is the chart of today. I'll start with this maybe. But this is the chart of today, and you can see here that we've got Pluto. If you can see my pointer, we have Pluto, which is in the house of Capricorn, and we got Saturn there. So if you don't know symbolism, one of the ways we can begin to understand our own chart is by getting a chart printed off and then learning about the symbols, because each symbol is going to show us it's a snapshot of the heavens at birth. And what I really want to do actually is show my own chart. So I'm going to stop this share, and I'm going to see if I can go back to my own chart. So do forgive me, but this is my first time doing it this way. So share. No. Okay. Right. Good. Okay. There it is. Right. Now so basically my birth chart, you can see here that got a birth chart, and on this side, you've got the sun, the moon, Mercury. In fact, let me see, new share. I'm being really good at this. I hope you're patient with me. Whoever's watching, thanks for being there. Okay. So what I need now is, I will get used to this, but I think it's going to be useful for people to understand this. Okay, so basically this is what a birth chart looks like. If you basically go to astro.com and you put in your birth time and your date, what you're going to get is a chart that looks like this. So you need your time, date, and place of birth. And then what happens is that it will throw up for you where your sun is, your moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and then you can add other things on as well. And we've got something, I'm going to point to this chart now. What we've got is that the sun is basically the day we were born, where it was. So you can see there that my sun is on 0 degrees and it's in Gemini. That's the sign of Gemini. A traditional chart will start with the first house being Aries. But when we put in our birth time and we use, depending on what system we're using, what house system we're using, it's going to show us our rising sign. So my rising sign is Scorpio. And the rising sign is how we show ourselves to be in the world. It's like the cloak that we wear. And the little green symbols on the outside, these are transits. These are where the planets are right now. So we do know that if you know astrology, for instance, that Uranus is in Taurus. And we know that Chiron, which is the symbolism here, is in Aries. And the moon, this is a good one, it takes 28.5 days about to move around the whole chart. And at the moment it's in Pisces, and the moon only spends about 2.5 days in each sign. So it goes around really quickly. And the moon is to do with our security and our emotions. We've got the sun, that's basically who we are, and it's our will, and it's who we are in this world, how we shine our light. It's just, the way we are. The moon, you can see here on my birth chart, is in Gemini also. So it's not just going to be the sun sign in astrology that you're looking at. It's always going to be the totality of a chart. So a lot of people will say, for instance, like they'll say, I'm a Gemini or I'm a Scorpio, and, who am I compatible with? But the astrology is a lot deeper than that. It's not just the sun sign. We've got the outer planets, which you can see on this side of the chart, and the outer planets are all listed here. The personal planets are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and then the outer planets begin, I think, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and the nodes. And the North Node is the path that we take in this life, that it shows us where we're leading, where we're heading. It's like a cup-based sort of thing. If you see there, that's the South Node, actually. It's like a cup. It's like what we've come in with. And the North Node is where we're going towards something, where we're embracing something. And knowing these symbolisms helps us to be able to objectify where we're at and who we are. And the energy shows us the energy that we're working with. We've also got Pluto in evolutionary astrology is going to be the main thing that we're looking at. And there's a book, I'll show you at the end, the book that I'm going to refer to, that I suggest you get to understand your Pluto. Because when you understand your Pluto, you're going to be able to understand your soul's journey and what is going on for you. When we look at a chart, we can see that if I was going to just start looking at a chart or anybody's chart, I'd firstly go to look at where Pluto was. And I've got my Pluto conjunct my MC and in Virgo. And I would also look then to where the nodes were. So the North Node is this life path. And you can see there that these little numbers here are degrees. So that's 25 degrees of Taurus. So my North Node, my life path is in Taurus. The South Node is the past, what we've come in with. So we're going to have gifts and dispositions. And then we've got what I would next look at. This is me. I don't think every astrologer is going to do exactly the same. But with evolutionary astrology, firstly, we flush the chart and we look at Pluto, and then we look at the nodes. And then we also would look at conjunctions. So you can see there, you've got Pluto, and that's Uranus. And they're both 15 degrees of each other. So both 15 degrees and 15 degrees. And that's called a conjunction. And then there's another conjunction there. So when a planet is conjunct another planet, it makes it quite powerful. It doesn't mean that your placements don't contain power, but it's just drawing us into where we're at in our lives and what we've come in with. And then also I've got another conjunction here, which is Chiron conjunct Saturn. And then I've got Chiron, I've got a conjunction here. I've got the North Node conjunct Mars and conjunct Mercury. And that's a weak conjunction on the sun there. There's a 5 degree. So I can very much say, you can see on my chart, not you yourself if you don't know astrology, but an astrologer will be able to look at the chart and show you exactly or explain what that means to you. And it will be able to guide you in your life and help you to know what your journey is. And also it can alleviate a lot of our problems, because the psyche can be so busy, we don't know ourselves. So it's a way of knowing ourselves, and it's a way of helping us to restore some sort of order in our lives and, get to grips with what we want to understand and where we want to go. You might have heard of Carl Gustav Jung. They're saying that a lot of people haven't. When I speak to people, I say, do you know who Carl Jung is? And not everybody does. But if I then say, do you know who Freud is? People say, oh yeah, they know who Freud is. So Freud was into psychoanalysis, and Carl Jung was 20 years younger than Freud, and they were friends. And Carl Jung was more into the soul aspect of being a human being. And what you can see is that, or what he could see is that where he was struggling with people, he would then obtain their astrology charts, and he would be able to help them in a better way, because he would be able to see what the symbolisms meant to them. So I'm just wondering here whether to continue with this. Nobody's come on at the moment, but I think this will just be a short video to give people an introduction that I'm going to be looking at charts maybe each a couple of nights a week. And what I'm hoping to do, if anybody wants to come on and we can pull up their chart, like if you want your chart looked at and you want to discuss it, then I'll be able to do that as well. I've got that ability, because I'll be able to bring you on screen as well if you wanted to go through your chart and see what it means for you. So I think I might just leave it there for today, but maybe just show you, this is my chart, and then I'm going to show you the chart of today, which I'm going to do by changing. Here you go. All right, so the chart of today, anybody who doesn't understand what this is, it's basically where the planets are right now. And I can explain to you that the planets, this is a snapshot of the heavens right now. And it shows you where the planets are and what sign they're in and what house. And it also shows you these lines that you see here. It's explaining to us how the planets are currently talking to each other. So this line here, this long blue line, that's called a trine. And that energy is basically a flowing energy. So we can say Jupiter is trining Mars currently. And then we've got squares, and a square is a 90-degree angle. And you can see that Mars is square Uranus. So how this works is that once you begin to understand what planet means, what it means, and then you can see that it's a square, which means tension. You can see that there's tension between Mars and Uranus, and that affects all of us on planet Earth, what's going on, this chart right now. And we've got the moon here, which is trining the sun, and we've got Neptune, which is also trining, I think Neptune's trining the sun there. And then we've got, so you can see it's, it's quite intricate what we're doing. And then they're all 360 degrees around a chart. And each degree, everything on an astrology chart means something. So you can dig on your own astrology chart for years. It took me a good couple of years to absolutely know my chart. And it's helped me to heal a lot of early childhood wounding, for instance, and to understand what my life path is. And it would be good if I can get a few people on coming up, because not tonight, but in future, because it's going to help people who don't know what a chart is, and then also just have a discussion about what's going on currently in society. Looking through the chart. So for instance, Saturn conjunct Pluto and the South Node, which we've currently got going on for a good, up until, the middle of, not the middle of next year, but, it's going on from now, probably, I think, up until maybe October, and then it goes beyond that. So this symbolism shows us, and then also in January, this symbolism shows that current structures are being broken down, and that would be to do with governments and the way we do things and the way we handle our lives. So Saturn is to do with time and karma, and it's to do with our structure, it's to do with our bones, and it's to do with, our teeth and all sorts of things. And Pluto is about transformation or transmuting. It's like, Pluto will take things away from us. It's not, it's as a part of our soul journey. Our soul journey is to return to, source, and taking away desires that, are no longer useful to us, because often we'll find that we might be attracted to something or want something in life, and we get it and then we realize that it doesn't fulfill us. So Pluto's a beautiful planet to look at in our own chart, because it will show where we are transforming and what will be transmuted through time. So when we understand what Pluto means also in our own chart, we're able to help ourselves to, flow easier through our problems. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to stop share. And I think I'm going to probably do a bit of work on this probably tomorrow and see if I can get a few people on and see if anybody wants their chart read. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you tomorrow.